Wow, 223 then for CSK, winning the toss, batting first in what's a must-win game for them. It looked all too easy for the Super Kings. The very best of Devon Conway, runs for Raunak as well, and just the impetus they needed from Shivam Dube and Ravindra Jadeja at the end. MS Dhoni gave the crowd something to cheer about too. Didn't quite get the big one away, but the score is a big one, 2-2-3. So let's get Tom Moody's thoughts on Visit Saudi presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout, who was saying just before we went on air that clearly this surface has played a lot better than he thought, and that even the pre-match pitch report thought, because you said you'd be a 140, 150 spin to play a part. Not that sort of surface, not that sort of day, Tom.
Certainly not, and that has, I think, tricked everyone. I think Aaron Finch called it, it looked like a riverbed, so it clearly, very dry, no grass whatsoever, but it's played pretty well. 14 sixes hit.
Yeah.
I think that's a reflection of, one, a good batting surface, but I think also, two, a pretty ordinary, insipid sort of bowling performance from Delhi. As soon as they lost any sort of hope or momentum with that partnership up front with Gaikwad and Conway, it was nearly like, okay, let's just get this game over and done with.
Yeah, they want to talk about Delhi and how they seem to have almost checked out in that innings. But let's first start with the opening partnership. We spoke of the importance that Gaikwad and Conway have, and you could see it even from afar, watching the game, Tom. The minute these two get to a 10-over start in the first 6 or 7, you feel like, this is only going to go one way. It's nice that they found that flow and form together going into the playoffs, which they look like they're going to make now.
Absolutely. Well, an opening partnership of 141 is very rare in T20 cricket, even in 50-over cricket. But, it just shows you the quality of both those players. And from CSK's point of view, Conway continues to be the consistent batter up front, and Gaikwad, he had just a little bit of a dip, has stepped up and delivered tonight, or not tonight, this afternoon. He even hit 7 sixes himself.
Yeah.
So clearly he's finding the middle of the bat. So great signs for CSK.
Yeah, Gaikwad, we spoke pre-match about his ability to hit sixes of spin and his record against wrist spin in particular. I guess those 3 sixes of Kuldeep Yadav tells us that sometimes those numbers can be a bit misleading.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we just best be quiet. But we've seen he hit spin as well. He hasn't done it consistently this year, and he has got out to spin quite a bit. That's a fact. But I think, if you look at his previous seasons, particularly last year, he was hitting the ball pretty consistently off spin.
Yeah, there is a thing, though, that batters like Gaikwad, though we may look at them as fairly conventional batters and not dashers or power hitters, once they get going, even if it's hitting 1 6, they'll try and keep going. They hit 3 sixes, sixes in clusters almost, whereas perhaps a few years ago you'd expect batters like him to get a 6 and maybe work the next one around. Gaikwad, once he's in the zone, knows it and goes for it, doesn't he?
I think it's also a reflection of where T20 is going. Jaswal's another one that does a similar thing. He's a high percentage boundary hitter as an opening bat, and he's prepared to take a bowler on from start to finish, where the old-fashioned view of T20 cricket is try to attack early in the over, get one or two boundaries early in the over, and then just be satisfied and see the over out, and you get a 10-plus over. Now it's, once you're in, if you've eyed off a particular matchup that you feel is right in your wheelhouse, you take it down and you try to get a 20-plus over.
I'm guessing the word matchup isn't often discussed in the CSK dugout, and the numbers we brought up pre-show. Oh, Ruturaj, look at your numbers against wrist spin. What are the chances he's seen that from inside?
Oh, possibly. It may have been mentioned to him, but I think, again, it just highlights the quality of this young player, is that he's a, as you say, he's a conventional player, but a conventional player that has got all the shots in the book. And I mentioned Jaswal before. He's a conventional player as well. He hits straight through the line of the ball. He keeps his technique in a good position. He's not playing all these fancy sort of shots. He's just hitting through the line of the ball, and he's got the game, hasn't he?
We've asked the question before, but I guess it's fair to ask again. Devon Conway is the best overseas buy in auctions in the last few years.
Yeah, extraordinary, isn't it? How he sort of wriggled through the auction table, but he came quite late from memory in the auction. So CSK sort of sat back, and they had their eye on him from the get-go, but no one challenged them with the bid. So that was
that was my next point. Why didn't anyone else foresee this kind of impact from a Devon Conway? Can you understand reasons as to why? And I know you were part of those auctions too, as to why you'd have felt, well, we're not quite sure of Devon Conway, but not even a bid beyond CSK's opening bid.
Yeah, well, put it this way, he was part of a list that we had, very much part of it, but we must have checked out at that time. I've got all our overseas players. I can't remember exactly what the situation was, but I know certainly other teams had filled their certain batting positions, and he plays a specific role too. You're buying him as an overseas left-handed opening batter. He's not a middle order batter. What he can do, which he hasn't done this tournament, he can keep. So he's a pretty good package. Yeah,
you sense it almost worked for Devon Conway, that he perhaps was being compared with that opener overseas slot is one where anyway there's not a lot of space for. Most teams tend to have at least one, if not two, Indian openers, and then you're looking at maybe Johnny Bairstow's there. Some teams already have Butler, or they already have someone wanted De Kock in that team.
Yes.
And you're like, all right, these guys have been proven in the IPL, so it is fair that no other franchise went for him.
I think it's just that, you can have the dynamics of the auction work for you or against you. And I think in his case, it's worked against him because, you only have to look at his international record. In all formats of the game, he clearly is, a world-class player. But you quite rightly point out, there's a lot of franchises that got their wicket-keeping slot sign up with an Indian talent, whether it's an Ishan Kishan, a KL Rahul, or whoever it might be. Saha, so there's plenty of them. So suddenly the pressure on that opening slot and it being an overseas player, that window is very narrow.
Well, you can just take that Devon Conway is going nowhere now. Even if he's on that 1 crore mark, I think CSK are going to make him feel special and valuable, and he is valuable to this team. Quick fire finish from Ravindra Jadeja. It was nice to see MS Dhoni walking ahead of them, because we've had that chat a few times this season, Tom. But it also has shown us the other side of Jadeja, that if he just comes out looking to hit a boundary ball 1 or 2, he's more than capable of it.
Yeah, look, absolutely. And a lot of it's down to opportunity as well. Jadeja's a very good player. He could easily be batting, in most franchises in the top 5. But just the way that the Chennai, stack up as a team and the depth they've got, they haven't used Rahane, they've pushed him down the line. They haven't used Moeen Ali, they've pushed him down the line. Raidu, they haven't even used him. So really where he sits from a batting perspective in that Chennai side, it's not his fault that he doesn't get the exposure he probably deserves, for the quality, the quality he provides. And I'm sure there's many franchises be thinking, wow, I'd love to have him at number 6 or number 5, plus doing what he does well with a left arm spin, because he's a good enough player to bat in that position.
Will we see him have that effect though? With the ball, we thought spin would have a big role to play. We showed you the numbers venue-wise for Delhi pre-match. We also spoke of Akshar and Kuldeep's form, but as it turns out on the day, Tom, 8 overs, none for 98 between the spinners. Why did spin not have as much to say?
It's a really good question. I wish I could answer that, because all evidence points to the ball keeping a little bit low, turning and a little bit slow, but it's certainly all the Chennai players didn't have any trouble hitting through the line of the ball. As I said, a true indication of that is the number of sixes and the boundary count. So 14 sixes is a high number of sixes. So that's telling you, 1, it's a reasonably small ground. 2, you can easily hit through the line of the ball and collect it and hit it for 6. And I think there's something close to 17 fours as well.
Yes, so it's 31 boundaries.
So that's a high boundary count. So that tells you a lot about the surface. So even though it is a big total, if the likes of Warner and Riley Rousseau and Phil Salt suddenly decide, no, I'm going to leave the IPL with a big bang, they've got the power to be able to give Chennai a nasty fright. But I've just got a feeling they've got
too many.
30 too many.
Yeah, I mean 199, 200. You think that's 220 just puts them out of it. Do you empathize with Delhi though as a team that might well have checked out, or did you still expect them to just have a little more? I can't really pinpoint or single out 1 or 2 players, and there is a lot of quality in a lineup with Khalil and Andrik Nortje and Kuldeep Yadav, but do you sympathise that this was just a team that's done?
Well, I watched Ricky Ponting address the Delhi squad in the warm-ups, and it was very animated and very sort of that typical Ponting steely eye, as he was looking around the group. So Ricky Ponting hasn't checked out. And the expectations of the head coach, the expectations of their leading mentor, director of cricket, Sourav Ganguly, would be certainly, we're not checking out. So it's really down to the players and what's motivating them to make sure they haven't checked out. And sometimes you can find when you have a season which is an exhausting season of setback, it's quite hard once you get another punch in the stomach to rise up again. Where it's a little bit different if you're having a season where you've had more wins than losses, suddenly that punch in the stomach, you're coming back even harder.
Yep.
You're punching back. I just wonder whether they've run out of punches.
Perhaps. And now Prithvi Shaw walks out. He'll probably be impact subbed in. Didn't feel for the 20 overs. That's been a pattern whenever they played Prithvi. But he's coming off runs in the last game. So too are a number of the other Delhi batters. At least they've got some confidence over the last few games. Are we expecting this to be another boundary fest where Delhi falls short, or will we suddenly see the ball do things for Chennai spinners, which tends to happen when you've got 220 and where these two teams are on the points table?
It's either going to go one way or the other.
Yeah,
I think we're going to have either a blowout and sort of a
100-run win almost.
Yeah, 100-run win, or we're going to see Delhi just go hell for leather and the wicket being non-responsive, regardless of the quality of the spin that Chennai have got and the power that Delhi possesses within their dugout is going to have a day out. Or are going to have a day
at
out.
halftime, your gut probably tells you it's going to be the former.
I think Yellow's got their nose in front.
Yeah, you'd say that. Thank you very much to Tom Moody. We will build up to Lucknow against Kolkata as well as wrap up the end of this game. We'll keep an eye on the last 20 overs of the Delhi Capitals in this year's IPL. Disappointing season, but can they give their supporters something to cheer about? I say supporters, but everyone seemed to come in yellow today, as has been the theme throughout the IPL.
Even yourself, you're sort of a beige yellow.
Would you call this a yellow?
Oh, we can call it yellow today.
All right. You've got some beige on downstairs, haven't you?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Excellent. So we both got shades of yellow with us. So. Anyway, CSK looking good and looking good to even seal that playoff spot. Big win would also make sure that that top two spot is theirs regardless of the Lucknow result later today. So keep an eye out for all those sorts of things as we carry on our coverage on this final weekend of IPL 2023. Download the ESPN Cricket for mobile app. If this game does go on a bit longer, you can get toss updates and team updates from the Lucknow KKR game at the Eden Gardens later this evening. And we'll be back on Visit Saudi presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout at the end of this one and building up to the next. So see you then.